It is not for you. The upgrade is mine.
But I'm already eligible!
Oh, it's on!
Okay, fine. That was actually shot with a real pro camera. Roll the iPhone Pro.
You cannot have it. The upgrade is mine.
But I'm already eligible! Oh, that's it! It's on!
Okay, that's enough of that. We decided to shoot some of this review with the iPhone 11, but not all of it.
This is still a review, though, of the newest iPhone's cameras. Well, because that's pretty much the most interesting thing about them. The new $700 iPhone 11, $1,000 iPhone 11 Pro, and $1,100 iPhone 11 Pro Max look and feel like last year's iPhones. Right, there's a new magical midnight green color.
Look, I've coordinated for the first time in my life.
The iPhone 11 is the reworked iPhone XR with a wide camera and an ultra-wide camera and a bit more battery life. The iPhone 11 Pro and Pro Max, which are just the same phones, just different sizes, now have wide and ultra-wide cameras plus a telephoto, and lots more battery life than last year's XS models.
And that's why I'm here, to put these cameras to the test and see which one takes the throne. And compare it to some older iPhones. It doesn't really matter if this is just slightly better than last year's. But what if you have an iPhone 6 or 7 or 8?
The New York Renaissance Fair has all the scenes you possibly could want to test the cameras. Colorful people, battles for making short movies, weird animals for testing new pet portrait mode. It's also good for testing battery life, since there's no electrical outlets anywhere.
Test 1, ultra-wide.
After testing these phones for the last week, I'm most excited about the ultra-wide camera lenses.
Okay, got the ultra-wide, the wide, and now the telephoto.
Just compare these two shots. Then compare this shot to the one I took with the iPhone 8 and the iPhone 6. Not only can you capture more of a scene, but you can also frame some pretty artistic shots.
Verily, test 2, portrait mode.
All three of the new iPhones have portrait mode, and what better way to test than with a visit to the Queen?
Are these magical pixie boxes that everyone is talking about?
Yes. You have one?
Nay, you can see them all about the Shire. There's many persons screaming into their pixie boxes as canst thou hear me? Yea? Nay, I canst not. Nay. We do have Lady Joanna. Yeah.
Okay, this looks great.
The phone's wide cameras have new sensors and improved HDR, which help make the shots a bit crisper and balanced. Though the software still struggles around the edges of sharp objects.
This one is from Samsung. Have you heard of Samsung?
What does he say?
Indeed, what did he say?
Samuel-san.
The big improvement on the Pro models is that you can now use portrait mode on the standard wide lens, as well as on the telephoto lens. And unlike last year's iPhone XR, the iPhone 11 now lets you shoot portrait mode with your favorite pet, which is obviously a kookaburra bird.
Test 3, video.
As you saw at the beginning, video quality looks better than previous iPhones, but it's still nowhere near as nice as a real dedicated pro camera, at least not without any special gear or apps. But for capturing your basic everyday life moments, the new cameras are great. All three iPhones have improved stabilization, so I decided to give that a test.
Would you like to test an iPhone?
Oh, I would love to. Who can I hit with it?
This may not be my best idea ever.
As you can see, the iPhone 11 Pro's footage is still jumpy and bumpy, but a lot smoother than last year's. The big change, though, is that you can now change to a different lens when recording a video. It's nice for zooming in and out of a scene.
Test 4, night mode.
One of the coolest promoted features of these phones, night mode.
Thank you for inviting me in.
When the phone senses a low light environment, it automatically switches on night mode.
It says I gotta hold still for 3 seconds.
When you press the shutter button, the phone takes a moment to take a number of shots in the background and then combine them into a better lit photo. It works really well if you're holding incredibly still, and so are your subjects. And it compares quite well to the Google Pixel 3. In situations where there's movement, you can still use the flash or disable night mode altogether, which is way too much of a hassle the way the software is designed. Regular low-light shots are also really improved. Before the sun sets, let's talk about battery life. All 3 of these phones last the full day. That is, no need to charge them even if you come to a place like this and beat the crap out of the cameras. The 11 Pro Max lasted the longest in my tests.
I am the queen, and the iPhone 11 is the iPhone I'd recommend to most people. In fact, if you don't care about many of these new camera features, I actually recommend the iPhone XR from last year, which costs $100 less than the 11.
If you really want that telephoto lens for when shooting video and photos, the starting at $1,000 Pro holds the camera throne. But remember, next year, there's likely to be another new iPhone. And that's when the real renaissance might occur.
What am I supposed to do with this? What is it, some sort of trickery? Witchcraft? Somebody's trying to fool me.